Okay, let's get to the next questions that we have on ketosis, ketogenesis, and how we get to ketosis quickly using supplements that help us get into fitness faster than we're used to. It's an amazing process, I gotta tell you. I've been using this to stay fit today as someone who just wants to stay in shape physically as well as mentally, because it keeps you sharp. But also, these strategies were central to my evolution in bodybuilding when I was younger, winning several shows in Canada, Mr. Vancouver, Mr. BC, Mr. Western Canada Nationals, and then going in to Los Angeles, USA, and winning the IFBB, the Weider IFBB, Mr. North America. I mean, these strategies work, and today I apply them daily just to stay fit, to stay healthy, and to stay in the human race, at the front of the race, I hope. But our research has really shown and guided us to generate technology that is very different today than that we've seen in the past when it comes to these exogenous ketones or beta-hydroxybutyrate. Ketone salts or ketone esters, they're all the same in terms of the outcome in the body. But what's very different today is our technology called ketoba, which is a BHB exogenous ketone coupled to butyric acid, BA, which is a short chain fatty acid. And I'll tell you how this works in the body very differently than the regular BHB salt in a moment. So if you engage in the ketogenic diet, the reason to engage in the ketogenic diet is to try and get your body to be using fat as a primary energy source, and then your brain to be using ketones as substrates for ATP generation or energy. Now, normally, if you're on a typical diet that has a higher carbohydrate content, whether even it's low glycemic index carbs, your body's using carbohydrate sources, glucose in particular, as a substrate to make energy, ATP, for the cells. On the ketogenic diet, what you're trying to do is restrict carbs as low as possible, raise fat intake as high as possible within a caloric range, and then increase protein, not too high, because if protein goes up too high, then your body can convert some of the amino acids, these are gluconeogenic amino acids, that the body can make glucose from to raise serum glucose levels. If glucose levels start to rise in the body, then any ketones that you might have in the blood won't be used effectively as primary energy substrates, because glucose will be used first. So this is why we're trying to push down glucose and raise ketone levels. Now, as you raise serum ketone levels or blood ketone levels beyond the baseline is around 0.1 millimoles, okay? For most of us. It can be up and down depending on your metabolism, your physical activity, your caloric intake. As we restrict calories and restrict carbohydrate intake, serum ketone levels can rise, glucose levels in the blood go down. And the reason is they go down because glucose goes down because it's unavailable in the diet. And the body says, my gosh, we have to switch energy sources to ketones. And it starts to make ketones from fat. So the liver is the primary site. There's other cells that can make ketones through a process called beta oxidation. And you raise serum ketone levels, and that's ketosis. The definition of ketosis is an incremental or raised ketone levels in the blood beyond the baseline, that's around 0.1 millimole. And if you're at 0.5, you're in ketosis. If you're 1 millimole, you're in ketosis. Some people have seen as high as 6 millimoles using supplements, and you're in ketosis. The challenge is, as you raise serum ketone levels, there's an effect to reduce ketogenesis, or inhibit it and stop the production of ketones from your internal resources from fat. So lipolysis, or the movement or the breakdown of fat, okay, is inhibited or reduced as serum ketone levels rise, unless you're using ketoba. And here's the difference. Let's start from the ketogenic diet. You engage in the ketogenic diet. Most people find it very difficult to stay on this low carb, calorie restricted, high fat diet, because it takes 2 to 3 days for most of us to manufacture endogenously through the process called ketogenesis. The genesis or generation of ketones in the body endogenously, ketogenesis. So low carb diet, high fat, medium protein, the body starts to make ketones from your fat. the peripheral tissues of the body can use fat as an energy source. The brain cannot. So the body, well, the brain can theoretically, but fats cannot cross the blood-brain barrier effectively. And so we don't see the brain using fat as a primary energy substrate like the peripheral tissues can. And so the body, the liver primarily, and other cells that can engage, will make ketones from your endogenous fat. Okay, this is what we want, making ketones from fat. This is called ketogenesis, which then causes ketone levels to rise in the blood, and that rise or raised serum ketone levels beyond baseline is called ketosis. Two different things that work together and depend on each other. Okay, takes 2 to 3 days, however, to raise serum ketone levels before the brain has enough so that it's happy. So when you're craving carbs on that low carb diet, it's not your body trying to get you to eat. It's your brain saying, I don't have enough carbohydrate sources to make ATP. You better go out and eat. And most people don't make it to the 3rd day because they're just starving. The brain is saying you're starving. Body's not starving, but the brain needs that, and you can't function fully unless serum ketone levels are raised, and it could take 2 to 3 days for most of us. Some people don't last the 2 to 3 days. They cheat, take carbs, process starts over again. We can circumvent that by taking exogenous supplements that have BHB, beta-hydroxybutyrate, in it. So that supplement can be made up of ketone salts, ketone esters, and you take that ketone, which then goes directly into the bloodstream to raise serum ketone levels. Brain is happy. My God, I've got ketones immediately. I didn't have to wait 3 days. So you're not as hungry. You don't crave calories. You don't crave carbs. You can stay on your diet. But you have to keep in mind, if you take a whole bunch of this ketone, now you've got to burn through the calories that the ketone represents. The calories in ketones are approximately 5.4 calories per gram versus carbs and protein, which are around 4 calories per gram, versus fat, which is about 9 calories per gram, you see? So you can load and shovel this stuff in, but you got to burn through those calories. And our research that has been recently published in peer-reviewed journals from Biologic shows clearly that when you take the exogenous BHB, that lipolysis, or the breakdown of fat, and then the generation of ketones, ketogenesis, is shut down. So now you got to burn through your ketones, and your body's not using your fat because it shut everything down. Difference is our patented ketoba, not the regular ketones, but ketoba is the BHB, beta-hydroxybutyrate ketone, or ketone body, coupled to butyrate, which is a short-chain fatty acid. That's the difference. Why is this different? Because when you take this, you don't have to take the mega doses that are caloric. You take a dose that primes the brain. So BHB is coupled to BA. Why is it coupled? Here's why. The BHB levels rise in the blood with other ketones that are generated from the BHB spontaneously in your body. And that elevated serum ketone level then serves the brain. And the brain's happy within 15 minutes. 15 minutes of taking the supplement. Not only is it happy, the room is brighter, the lights are brighter, you've got energy to go, and you don't really feel tons of energy, but you feel good until you get involved in physical activity, and then you can go, 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 go. But when you do this with a regular ketone salt or ketone ester, you take that exogenous ketone, and lipolysis and fatty acid oxidation, the burning of fat, declines. We show it in our paper that's published. The research paper is published in the Journal of Obesity and Diabetes. We can give you a link to that upon request. And it shows how it's inhibited completely. And ketogenesis is inhibited. But when you take ketoba coupled to BA, you get that priming. Here's the difference. Ketoba allows you that priming. But the BA, the butyrate, goes to the liver and turns on ketogenesis and keeps it on. So it does not compromise what you're trying to do on a ketogenic diet. But furthermore, you don't have to be on a ketogenic diet. I use this, and I'm just on a low-carb diet that's far from ketogenic. But I use it in the morning on a fasted workout, and it's the best workout you'll ever have, fasted even without food. It doesn't matter what time of the day, because you're energized, your brain is running at full bore, and your body's using your own fat to make energy. because ketoba does not shut down lipolysis. Ketoba does not shut down ketogenesis. The research shows it clearly, that's published, and again, the Journal of Diabetes and Obesity, that ketoba sends the ketone levels you need to cause serum ketone levels to rise and serve the brain, while providing the signal to tell your liver to continue to make ketones endogenously. Make ketones from your own fat, to burn your own fat. It doesn't stop that process, it actually activates it. And you can watch every 15 minutes serum ketone levels rise. Now, in our case, we're not allowing them to rise too high because then we stop lipolysis. We're trying to keep fat burning. And that's how ketoba works. We don't need to cause serum ketone levels to rise to 6, 7, 8 millimoles, because that is a process that's required for disorders of the brain such as epilepsy, dementia, where BHB and BHBBA can serve to improve memory recall or overcome memory deficits. It works amazingly that way. In fact, the original research was done due to epilepsy, and it was found that the ketogenic diet helped to reduce the frequency of these epileptic seizures in people where the disease was drug resistant. And then it was determined later on that it was the ketone itself that was the factor or the mechanism that provided the benefits of the ketogenic diet, and that's where the serum ketone levels, the rising of serum ketone levels were coupled to the effects on dementia and epileptic seizure frequency, and then came the synthesis of these ketones as supplements, and then came our research where we coupled that to the BA to take it one step to the next level, and allow the body to continue its ketogenic process the way we're expected it to work for weight management. So regular ketone salts stop fat burning and fat loss. Ketoba actually activates it and keeps it going. That's the big difference.